Live from Television Park, this is WJBF News Channel 6 at 11.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Denise Jefferson. Brad and Jenny are off tonight. We'll get to those top stories in a moment, but first, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Tim Miller, who's been tracking rain all day.
And sure, it has been a wet day, Denise, no doubt about it. This is a 10-hour loop of live Viper 6 from our showers and storms that started basically around noon. Whoosh, moved on through, and boy, do they dump some rain. And as of now, everything is pretty much done with. We are enjoying just one or two light little sprinkles. They've moved already into Lexington County, so that's really about all she wrote as far as rain's concerned. Another warm day, though, today. 73 degrees was our high temperature. Notice 65 was the low. We should be at 36 degrees. I don't want you to get used to that number. It would be nice, right? But that's not going to happen. There's going to be some changes. Rain totals, generally speaking, almost an inch in the city. But notice Aiken, y'all, almost 2 inches of rain. So this was a really good drink of water. Look at Washington, almost 3 inches of rain. Lincolnton the same. So we needed the rain, and my goodness, we certainly have it. Tonight, 63 degrees, our current temperature. Generally speaking, we're in the 60s with a little bit of fog now starting to develop. Winds a bit from the southwest. They're relatively calm now. That will also aid in fog development. Visibility down to a mile officially at Bush Field. Same thing in Sandersville, 10 miles in Aiken. So certainly hit and miss fog for tomorrow morning. There's the trough that's been over us. It was a stationary front. It will soon dissipate and we'll be done with any showers or rain. And then tomorrow looks to be fairly nice. Tonight, 62 degrees with that fog. Coming up, I'll show you hour by hour what we can expect for tomorrow, New Year's Eve, and the rest of your weekend forecast.
All right, thanks, Tim. 2 weeks ago, we told you about an abandoned home in Harrisburg that had become a dumping site for trash and debris. Tonight, we take a look at what's being done with the home.
It was a nuisance. It was a public health crisis. It was an emergency.
For nearly 2 years, people living in the Harrisburg area had to deal with this eyesore, trash and debris piling up behind an abandoned home destroyed by a fire.
In this case, this was an emergency. This was something that clearly had been long-standing. And then the debris, the garbage, the material that was on the property, it gave us our calls for immediate action.
It gained the attention of District 1 Commissioner Jordan Johnson. Now what used to be an eyesore has been demolished and cleaned up.
We're listening, we're paying attention, and we're responding.
It helps make the community look a whole lot better.
Ronnie Patterson has lived in Harrisburg all his life. He says seeing the property cleaned up is a relief.
You got family members living around garbage and trash like that. They can be exposed to all kinds of viruses and stuff. So, it was a good thing that the city or whoever did it cleaned it up.
There's houses like this all over the community, all over the county.
Johnson says the house is just one example of how he plans to continue to focus on blight in the Harrisburg neighborhood.
The amount of blight that we have in our neighborhoods, we could see those numbers decrease in a year if we focused our efforts in specific areas versus scattering those efforts out across the county over X amount of months.
Neighbors say with multiple abandoned homes in the area, the work is needed.
All communities need to be cleaned up, especially with abandoned houses, because you don't know what's or who living in there.
Johnson says with the help of the Blight Ordinance funding, that work will continue next year. Controversy over Georgia's new redistricting plan. Today, Governor Brian Kemp signed the new political maps into law, but opponents immediately filed a court challenge. Redistricting is required once every 10 years to ensure equal populations in districts. Georgia has grown by around 1 million people, mostly people of color, since 2010. This caused the state to flip 2 of its Senate seats from Republicans to Democrats last year. This new map essentially moves Democratic voters out of heavily left-leaning counties and puts Republican voters in their place. A federal lawsuit by the American Civil Liberties Union claims that the maps take voting power away from people of color. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp met with local leaders today to discuss the progress of the Hub for Community Innovation. The $10 million development is coming to the historic Laney Walker and Harrisburg area. Ashley Jones was there.
Governor Brian Kemp joined local leaders to discuss the progress of the project at Fat Man's Cafe Thursday afternoon.
Really makes you feel good to see so many people at the local level working together to address real problems that we have in all communities across the state and really across the country.
He says collaboration was the key to bringing this project to life. The hub is meant to bring more services to the underserved communities of historic Laney Walker and Harrisburg.
The Hub Augusta Collaborative has formed a leadership group to try to cultivate a community where all of its residents thrive.
Shell Berry is the president and CEO of Community Foundation for the CSRA. She says the hub will be made up of 2 buildings, one that will become the headquarters of the Boys and Girls Club, the other which will house several nonprofit organizations.
And the goal behind these 2 buildings and the 5 mission-aligned nonprofits that are in them is to help reduce barriers and provide access to the historic residents of Harrisburg and Laney Walker.
That includes access to food, healthcare, and education. Right now, the project is still getting into phase 1. The next phase will look at expanding Augusta University's campus by creating a research building. They're also looking to bring a grocery store to the area, which could finally put an end to the food desert.
We have nothing now. That Kroger's is gone, those are gone. People who don't have transportation, I don't know what they do.
Completion for phase 1 is set for spring of 2022. In Augusta, I'm Ashley Jones, WJBF News Channel 6.
The coroner's office is investigating a deadly stabbing in Richmond County. It happened today on Tybee Court in Augusta. Investigators found Desmond Forrester with a stab wound to his side. The 24-year-old died at the scene. No suspect information has been released. The FDA authorized Pfizer's antiviral pill called Paxlovid, and it's being shipped out across the country. The FDA says it's not a replacement for vaccines or boosters and is only available through a prescription. Most health departments are allocating treatments and limiting supply to have enough to prioritize the most at-risk patients. It's for those 12 years and older, and it's 90% effective in reducing hospitalizations and deaths, according to recent clinical trials. Doctors say with a limited supply, they'll have to prioritize.
I think the pill will be, I know we use this phrase a lot, a game changer, but in this case it will be. Because for individuals who are unvaccinated who get COVID, within the first few days, if they take that pill, they dramatically decrease their risk of severe disease or hospitalization.
We know so far is that this is going to be available in very limited supply once it becomes available, which is expected to be very soon. And that will cause some benefit to those that are able to get it, but certainly there will be issues with the availability of the drug.
Georgia's single-day COVID-19 case record smashed once again today. Yesterday, nearly 14,000 new infections in the Peach State, and today, nearly 18,000 new cases. South Carolina reported nearly 6,000 new COVID-19 cases today. The state health department says they expect Friday's number to be even higher. Director of Public Health Dr. Bannon Traxler says they expect the surge in cases to continue into January. She says this surge is being fueled by the spread of the Omicron variant and holiday gatherings.
We recognize at this point that people are numb to the data, but these stats aren't simply numbers. They represent people. They represent people who are our family members, our friends, and our loved ones who are sick, who are hospitalized, and unfortunately some of whom are dying from this disease.
Dr. Traxler says the best way to protect yourself right now amid this surge is to be fully vaccinated and to get your booster shot. New data from the Highway Traffic Safety Administration shows deadly DUI crashes are on the rise. As a result, the South Carolina Highway Patrol is cracking down with its Sober or Slammer campaign. Master Trooper Brian Lee says to expect more law enforcement patrolling the roads leading up to and during New Year's Day. And he asked drivers to be on the lookout for aggressive or potentially impaired drivers.
The best thing you can do is maybe move over, get out of the way. If you need to or you're able to, go ahead and call Star HP, 911, Star 47.
State Highway Patrol says if you're going to drink to celebrate the new year, either have a designated driver or use a taxi or rideshare service. Don't go away. Chief Meteorologist Tim Miller is up next with a look at your forecast.